Shanti. Going to cover the power of cooperation today in our series of the 8 powers that are the fundamental teachings of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University, and the difference basically between the idea of cooperation or the concept of cooperation in the external dimension and the concept of cooperation in the inside dimension. And everything that's gone on in the external world is meant to bring us to this point of time. So there's nothing actually wrong in the sense of it's meant to be the way it's meant to be. But in reality, there's a certain level of cooperation that a person can achieve within themselves that people who are working on the external cannot achieve. And so one is a very spiritual understanding and the other is a very external understanding. Can't really say a physical understanding because it still involves the mind understanding that concept of the external, even though it is based on in a physical way, but it is still the mind, and the mind is not a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing, it's metaphysical. So the normal way of seeing cooperation is when, as it says when you Google these things, is that I hand you the brick and you lay the brick, or you handle me the brick and I lay the brick. So we're working in a cooperative manner. And of course there's cooperation in the family sector, whereby you may not always agree with other family members' opinions, but you do things to keep the peace, and often they are the ones that are stating that they're doing this against their better judgment, against their will, but they're doing it to keep the peace in the family. And of course some people do jobs and they're very cooperative in what they do, but they may not want to do that job. Just like some family members don't enjoy their roles, possibly a lot more than some. Probably many people don't enjoy the roles that they play. And so on the external, you're always meeting some form of resistance, in the sense of, although I'm being cooperative with another person, I might be being cooperative with a person in the family that I do have a special near and dear connection to, and someone that is not so near and dear, which is why there are all these popular jokes about mother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws, and it's just a whole lot of in-laws and outlaws, but where is the law? Basically, plenty of in-laws, but where is the law inside the self that enables you to actually be cooperative with everything that happens, everything that goes on, without feeling like a slave or enslaved, without feeling the full effect of what I have to do? Because the human mind is such that it's not just what you do, it's the thoughts that are before the deeds, and also the thoughts that are after the deeds, because in the human mind it's not just connected to one aspect of time, it's connected to 3. in the sense of the things that I have to do in time, and the things that I do, and the things that I did as well when they become a past thing, and the remembrance of those things that I did. And sometimes when there is a certain amount of sorrow or regret taken from what I did and how I did it and why I did it, and maybe the thought is I shouldn't have helped and I did help and I'm regretting that, then there's also that aspect of resistance. And so when you actually get people that are moving as one, that's where we're heading towards in the spiritual dimension. And even if others aren't moving as one, as long as I'm moving as one, so it's a cooperation that takes place within the self, a co-operation, an operation that's going on within the self, that I'm in co-operating, which is in the company of something that's pure, something that's warm, something that's loving, something that's based on faith and trust. And it's actually communicating with the people that may have that resistance. So I'm cooperating with a part of the family, friends, and performing the deed, but without any resistance with inside. So that would be, you couldn't really have this point system that goes on, call it a clapometer, whereby people score points for being kind, people score points, in my estimation, for how good they are at performing a particular task, and how much they complain about the task that they have to do, and they lose points, in my estimation. We can't have this thing that goes on within human relationships. It seems to be almost like a business schedule where someone scores 9 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 for the way they look. They score a certain amount of marks if they're kind to me, respectful to me. They don't score many points if they're a pest, if they're a nuisance and they're getting in the way more than they're helping. Like this, I have to actually have this faith, love and trust within my own self, so that I'm cooperating with all the abnormalities that go on in the families, in amongst my work colleagues, etc., etc., so that I can be cooperative from inside to out, not outside to in. Plenty of people are going to work that don't want to do the job they do, so they're only cooperative because they're earning the money to pay for food for their children. But that's a very limited form, because there's 3 aspects we want to take consideration with regarding the power of cooperation, and its thoughts, words and actions, because that's when you get the full feeling of your true nature active. And when you get the full feeling of your true nature active, we just really call it one word, and that one word is love. Is no other word can really define that feeling that flows from inside to out. So obviously, if I don't want to do something, and I think of how much this was put on me, and how much I was cajoled to do that, and how this particular person is always asking for me to help and be considerate to them, but they're not very considerate to me. And if I also speak about that, then I've only got cooperation in the action, and that's only if I do that. If I don't do that, then I'm uncooperative in all three. And you have to work out exactly whether you should do that for the sake of love, or whether it's becoming a rod for your own back. Because with family and friendship relationships, is that some people will expect that because it's in their manual, whereby you have to have your own manual with which you can be peaceful, be inward, and not regret or have any guilt about whether you should have or shouldn't have. But we find that where there's that spiritual understanding of cooperation, it starts to work like a genie. Really, it starts to do things, and people that would normally take advantage of you won't take advantage of you, because they won't have that courage to take advantage of you, because the truth of yourself that's inside starts to affect the truth that's inside of them. So their conscience starts to awake if they have been using and abusing family members and taking advantage, and people have been people pleasing and making a rod for their own back. It's because they haven't worked under this format of cooperation in thoughts, words and actions. So really the thought of doing something for someone is an obstacle as well, because I'm really only doing everything for myself. It's as I sow, so shall I reap. So the thought of doing something for someone is a misnomer. Really, it's a misconception, because I'm actually doing everything for my own fruit tree, my own tree of fruits. It may sound selfish, but it's the way actually to become selfless, because selfish people will look towards pleasing people because they're concerned with their own feelings if they don't do that. So they're actually hiding this fear away from themselves, is they're not able to actually say, I won't be able to be doing that with love, without going into too much retail and detail and saying, giving what we say, use the word excuses. You don't need to give different reasons, different excuses. It's your right to do something or not do something. Sometimes you have to consider family unity, and as long as it's not full of negative vices, if you're nurturing vices, desires inside another human mind, then you also get to pay the price for that, because you're taking them down a wayward path in which at the end of the road there's no happiness. So we should never actually nurture and cajole these negative desires that are of a material nature, because many family members have this more concept. The more they get, the more they think they are. And the more they get, the more unhappy they'll become, because you buy an elephant, you've got to feed it. So the energy is constantly thinking over time to sustain what they've got that's a part of them. And it's not a part of them, because the part of you is the soul, the living energy, the being that plays the role. The role should not take over, so that you're caught up in this web of this one's deceitful, that one's deceitful, and they're asking me for their help and I've got to give a good reason. No, you don't need to give any reasons at all. It's your right to not be able to not choose to do something if you choose not to do that. And so after they get used to you being stronger about your position, that you're on a spiritual path, you're going down a different road now, then if they don't understand it, then they're welcome to come and understand it. And if they don't understand it and they spread defamation of you, or that defamation will make you stronger and make you less dependent on other human beings, because cooperation is something that takes place inside to stop the effect of the outside. And I do remember a song that was taken on an external level, and it was called The Age of Aquarius. And it was when the moon is in its seventh heaven and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And that's the age we're coming into, but we're coming into this new age, this new existence of being rather than caught up in the doing of the role. And it's taking place on an internal level where your thoughts, words and actions become one. And the secret of it to it all is when you're more aware of yourself as a soul in the body, you don't overthink everything. You know, people often ask what thoughts to have when you're actually working towards not thinking and certainly not overthinking. So this has been the habit of people, which is why it's become so messy, is because they're constantly looking for answers in the world of thinking, and your awareness isn't in the world of thinking. Your awareness is delivered in the world of thinking. You live in this consciousness of inside. The outside is the body, the material world, people, friends, everything that's moving, that changes, that is unreliable, that has gone to a state of chaos, entropy, from an orderly state, just because the ingredients are there, because everyone's overthinking and tiring themselves out. So the actual answer to all of these things is to bring your powers back draw them into a point, the point of non-thinking, the point of being, and actually move the body around in the state of the point of being, and do things, do tasks without much thought. So that sounds thoughtless, doesn't it? As if you're going to have accidents. But in reality, your awareness works in such an unemotionally involved state that it takes care of many things at the same time. People who think too much will increase their thoughts, increase their resistance, increase their tiredness, increase their impatience, increase their intolerance, because thoughts keep trying to dictate how it should be done, why it should be done that way, how others are doing it wrong, how their heart isn't in it. And that's where the anger comes, purely from overthinking. So when you're not a victim of overthinking, you sit back and you play your role as a guest, playing the role as an actor playing the role in a role. So you're not actually being forced to react all the time. When you see things that aren't going the right way, there's that inspiration from non-resistance, non-interference, to actually just give a signal that this is like this, not like that. Few words, very few words have to be spoken. With an overthinker, a lot of words are spoken. The tone is not valuable, is not conducive, is not in connection with love. I meet a wall of their resistance, and then they become more uncooperative, and the tasks, the job, get done with very little quality, and we don't feel that feeling of unity. So cooperation should always create unity. So if I'm thinking I don't really want to do something, then I've got to change that at its seed form, because thoughts are the foundations for actions, and this is an opportunity to be in love with love, to start producing love and peace as I do every action. So if I'm going to do something, and I know that I'm going to do something, I've got a choice how I do that. So firstly, make the right choice, and then what will happen is I won't be speaking, because speaking of the negatives of I didn't want to help them, I didn't want to do them, because I know how many expectations they've got, how greedy they are for other people to do all their work. No, I'll do it for myself in the right way, in the right consciousness, with the awareness of being the guest, the actor, playing the role. And so the thoughts will become correct. The words will, when we finish that task, there won't be the, yeah, I've done that, but I didn't really, I want to, because you don't really, and this blame thing that the words produce. Because all I'm doing really by doing that is I'm not bringing my thoughts, words and actions into alignment, like they're saying in the age of Aquarius about planets, but your thoughts, words and actions need to be the same. Gandhi said this as well, that when thoughts, words and actions become as one, then you'll have this, what he called Ramraj, where the heaven is on earth again. Heaven has been created once more. He was just trying to get people into this mindset that thoughts, words and actions should flow from inside to out. And that has a very positive effect on others, because you're withdrawing from the normal form of cooperation, which has many side effects to it. It has a lot of pain referral, if you like, because things are carried over into the future, where I've done this for them, but they didn't do this for me, or they didn't appreciate what I did for them. You're only actually doing all these things for yourself. So whatever you do for others, you're doing through yourself, with the awareness of being the self, creating a fortune for yourself. So when I actually look for appreciation, I eat the reward of the deed that I did. Say that again. When I actually look for the reward from others, whether it be in the form of respect, appreciation, I'm looking to eat the reward of what I've done. And the reward will come to me when it's meant to come to me. Just like some people appear to be better off than others, luckier than others, in a different situation to others. Most of it's a state of mind anyway. But there must be a reason why their past has created their present, and this present creates the future. So eating unripe fruits would be an expectation that you do as much as I do, that you do it the way I do it. I can also inspire that if I believe there to be a better way of doing it, but not preach, not ram it down their throat, not give directions, as in if you don't do it and give them a warning or a caution, not like that. That's all anti-love, and that will create a blockage inside from my own mind becoming more cooperative with me, because whatever I deliver outside affects my own mind. So I've got to make sure that what I deliver to others is based on love, because my mind will feel it's being filled with love. And also what's in love is lightness. You know, people that don't have a sense of humour develop a sense of humour with this lightness that love produces, or is within love automatically. It's already in situ, that lightness, when there's this pure love that comes from inside to out. So the more you can separate yourself from the role that you play, from the task that you do, the more you'll feel you're in the presence of love and lightness. And that will affect the words, because I won't be speaking those things because there's no resistance. Resistance doesn't take place because of what I do. Resistance takes place because of the way I do it. So the actions are being blessed from this point of awareness as it manifests through thoughts, words and deeds. That has a cyclic effect. Thoughts affect words, words affect deeds, deeds affect thoughts. And so this cycle takes you to a higher level of happiness the more you do it. So the more you're cooperative with yourself. We weren't meant to not do. Unlike some people believe that actually sit in a hole and meditate for days on end. We were meant to. Even breathing is an action. So you can't actually escape action, because if you did, you would leave the body, because breathing is an action. So I hope this was helpful. We'll finish on a meditation on cooperation, and you're actually spreading a light throughout the entire world by being cooperative with yourself, which has a great deal of inspiration and trust in others. So sitting quietly, not thinking too much, but becoming aware of the feelings that are being created through a thought that connects to a powerful awareness. I ask myself, who am I that is speaking, listening, and seeing. And I go inside to a point of power that is myself, like a point, a sun of light that is manifesting into the world outside. I become aware that the words of my mind, the things that I have to do, are all things that I'm not. I am the visitor, the guest to the body that can come and go whenever I so wish. I'm not tied to the illusion of thought. Thoughts, words, and actions are all connected to the external, but I am the light, the seed of love, the seed of good wishes that manifests through my thoughts, words, and deeds. They are my servers, which I use to get things done without getting caught up in the web of family politics, without even needing to be a voice of family politics. Nothing will change anyway, no matter what I say, no matter what I do. It is what I am as I do. It is what I am as I say, and even what I am before I even think. It is such an illusion. The world of the external, in a state of chaos outside, but a serene river flowing inside, reliable, trustworthy certainty. My love will flow and continue to flow while I have the awareness of who I am and what I'm made up of. Thoughts, words, and actions cannot tell the tale, and because of this, I am unique, special, and like a lighthouse of love. Om Shanti.